Welcome to Red-tastic. Story 1. I, 27 female, have been living with my fiancé, 29 male, in his 3-bedroom house for the past year. We're getting married in December, and everything has been great between us. However, last month, my mom, stepdad, and stepbrother, 17 male, moved in with us temporarily. They've put down a deposit on a new house but had to leave their old place because the lease was up. So they're staying with us until early July. It's been a really cramped and unpleasant situation. My stepdad is very judgmental about me living with my fiancé before marriage and has made several passive-aggressive comments about it. I've been tolerating it for my mom's sake, but it's been awful. On top of that, my stepbrother is a menace. He never cleans up after himself, leaves his stuff all over the house, and constantly plays pranks on everyone. One of his pranks involved putting plastic wrap over the toilet bowl, which resulted in my fiancé getting soaked. My fiancé was understandably upset and had a serious talk with my stepbrother about respecting other people's property and boundaries. Neither my stepbrother nor my stepdad likes how my fiancé handled the situation, but I thought it was completely fair. A week ago, my stepbrother pulled another prank, this time at the pool. I was sitting by the pool, and next thing I knew, this massive snake was dangling over me. Rubber snake, as I later learned. I panicked and jumped into the pool. As I was jumping in, I heard a pop, and next thing I know, my right Achilles tendon is busted. I had to be rushed to the ER, and the surgery to repair it cost $17,000. After insurance, I'm still left with a $4,123 bill. I told my stepdad that I expect him to pay for the surgery since his son's prank caused the injury. He flat out refused, saying that no one asked me to tear my Achilles and that is not his responsibility. I was furious and told him that if he doesn't pay, I will sue him for the medical costs. I have the footage from one of my security cams. This led to a huge fight where my mom and stepdad claimed that if they had to pay me, they wouldn't be afford to move into their new house, wouldn't even get a bed, and would have to cut back on their spending. My mom has been crying and calling me cruel for even considering suing them, saying it would ruin their lives. None of them seem to be considering my well-being for that matter. But I'm pissed. $4,000 is a significant amount of money, and with my wedding drawing close, I do not want this extra expense on me. Am I the a-hole for wanting my stepdad to cover my medical bills or threatening to sue him if he doesn't? Update. So, my mom, stepdad, and stepbrother have finally moved out. They ended up paying the $4,000 for my surgery, but it took a lot of pushing to get them to do it. After our last fight, I had a letter drawn up by a lawyer friend of mine, basically saying that I was taking them to court if they didn't cover my medical expenses. As soon as they got the letter, they panicked and agreed to pay. But it didn't come without drama. My stepdad has been berating me ever since for forcing them to take money out of their retirement fund. He's constantly throwing jabs at me, saying things like how ashamed I should be for ruining my mom's retirement, and that they don't even have enough money left for a mattress, so my stepbrother will have to sleep on the floor. He keeps calling me cruel and heartless, but honestly, I don't care anymore. I'm focusing on my recovery now, attending physical therapy to make sure I'm fully healed before the wedding in December. I've decided that my health and well-being are my top priority, and I'm done feeling guilty for standing up for myself. The whole situation has made me realize that sometimes you have to put yourself first, no matter how much guilt others try to heap on you. Thanks to everyone who supported me and gave me advice on the original post. It's been a rough few weeks, but I'm glad I stuck to my guns. Now I can focus on getting better and looking forward to my wedding without this hanging over my head. I'm sorry you got hurt, OP. Tearing your Achilles tendon and needing therapy because of a prank your stepbrother pulled on you is sad. And if anyone should be blamed, it should be your stepbrother and his parents for not teaching him to not play stupid pranks on people. Your stepdad can berate you all he wants because if he doesn't blame you for getting hurt, then he would have to blame his son and also come to terms that he indirectly caused the accident and therefore he's responsible for the payment. I'm glad you made them pay for the bills. After getting hurt like that, it was the least they could do. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for choosing to keep my TV and games in my room instead of the living room? I recently moved into an apartment with 2 other roommates. I've known them and been friends with them for a bit, but haven't been super close with either of them. I have a lot of game consoles, including a Switch and a PS4, which I'm moving in. I'm also taking a TV that was with my parents that they weren't using. However, I wanted to move them into my room, but one of my roommates complained. He said I was being selfish. I have the only TV in the apartment. Neither of my roommates have the money to buy one at the moment, and that I should put the TV in the living room instead so everyone can use it. I like to keep my games and consoles in really good condition and just don't feel comfortable keeping them out in the living room, mostly because I'm not cool with people using them without asking. Am I the a-hole? You're not the a-hole, OP. Your roommate will be the a-hole if he keeps badgering you about your decision not to put the TV in the living room. It's your TV and your game consoles. You get to do whatever you want with it. And your reasons are valid. Before you realize it, your roommates will forget this was yours in the first place and start doing whatever the hell they want with your stuff. And if it gets ruined, who's gonna have to fix it? You, not them. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. Your stuff, you can do whatever you want with it. They didn't have a TV before you moved in. It's unfair to expect you to use your stuff as community items. If anything, you guys should pool some money together to buy a community TV. Your roommates might be great, but there is always human error and accidents happen. Would they pay to replace any of it? Not the a-hole from experience. Keeping your game consoles in a shared space when you have housemates is asking for a shitstorm. Not only will your housemates be playing your systems and probably sitting drinks near them, you'll also come home to find greasy Jimmy from the trap house playing your shit. Just don't do it. They're just complaining because they want to play your stuff. In fact, you might want to leave your room locked when you leave too. Not the a-hole. Once they're in the living room, they'll never be yours to fully control or take back. Keep it in your room, especially now that you see how manipulative and entitled your roommate is. Say you want to come home one day and just play video games on your TV and your console, but someone's already watching TV. They'll call you an a-hole for trying to use your own stuff. Your roommate is being an a-hole for trying to tell you what to do with your stuff, and they obviously want it there so they can use it and exert control over it. P.S. Get a lock on your door. Story 3. Would I be the a-hole for asking my husband to stop his hobby to make room for a baby playroom? We own a small house, only 2 decent bedrooms and a small office that's about 15 to 10 feet. We can't move as we own, or we could, but it would be overkill. We have a 2-year-old who we usually play with in our living room, but I tire of cleaning up that room every few hours because it can get a little chaotic. My husband uses the office as a music room. He's got 4 guitars on the wall, a shelf of pedals, several speakers, a piano, etc. He takes it very seriously. So seriously, it's his only real hobby. He likes to work on his car and gardening and stuff, but music is his first love. I want to propose to him we use the office as a playroom, but unfortunately this means the music stuff has to go. We have nowhere else to put this stuff as it does indeed take the room. This gives us our living room back and makes my life a little easier, as we can sequester the mess in one spot which doesn't see much traffic. But this is the only thing my husband is truly passionate about. Maybe he can compromise and keep one acoustic guitar, because you don't need any of the other stuff for it. Would I be the a-hole? I want to ask Reddit, am I the a-hole before I make a sore mistake? If it changes anything, I'm a stay-at-home mom and my husband works as a bank manager. I used to be an accountant and I'm planning on going back to work when our daughter is 4 or 5 in school. She has some behavioral and play issues we're seeing an occupational therapist for, and she advised to avoid daycare until this is all resolved. I'm stuck as a stay-at-home mom even if I don't want to. Now for some comments. I think you would be an a-hole if you point blank and ask him to give up his passion. Instead, present the issue to him and ask to think of solutions together. Personally, I think moving is about as extreme as giving up his music, so that it could be on the table, as could building an addition or renovating your garage or basement if you have one, or maybe all you need is more help from him cleaning up the living room. But definitely don't start with, let's get rid of all your music stuff. You're the a-hole. You can't ask him to give up his interest in music. It's a pretty marvelous thing to be interested in, and it would be painful to him to give it up. You need to talk to him and find some compromise. Do you have a garage you can turn into a music room? Can the 2-year-old's bedroom not also function as a playroom? Is it possible you have too many toys? One thing my mom used to do was put half the toys away in cupboards. After a couple of months, she would switch them with the toys we'd been playing with, so it felt like we had all new toys, but they weren't cluttering up the house. I'm also a musician, and allowing him to keep a solo acoustic guitar is not a compromise. It's a slap in the face. All those instruments, all those pedals, the speakers, they're all expensive, and he has gone through a lot of effort to acquire each item. They all have a unique capability, and I'm sure he went through tons of hunting and research before getting each item. By limiting him to only an acoustic guitar, you are severely limiting his ability to make music. It would be like telling a painter he has to get rid of his studio and brushes. If you go through with this, your husband will end up resenting you, and it won't be good for your relationship down the road.